So Bel-Air, episode 10, the season finale, season 1. I'll let you go first, man, because there's some crazy stuff happen.
Well, so this episode was so big. We talked about this for the last couple of weeks. We thought they were going to hold off on Lou. It begins with Will talking to Uncle Phil, thanking him for everything. They're going to the art exhibit, seeing the painting of him, being a king, being a prince, being able to go through everything. And that's what Uncle Phil talking about. It's like, hey, you adjust to any environment that you're going in, and you still come out on top. You still are like a prince. That's what I see. Everything that people put on you, you exceed it. You're amazing. So Uncle Phil's just gassing him up, telling him all these things that how he sees them, which is amazing. And I mean, so you see that their relationship is stronger than it's ever been. I mean, the episode before, Will basically tells him, "I don't even know who my dad is. I don't need it anymore.
Yeah,
because you've been there more for me than any father could have been," which is amazing. And also, it's a comment of a 17-year-old not knowing that life and all the things you've thought all your life are going to come to the surface eventually. And I think that's the common theme I got in this whole episode was Will is still young and immature. And you're forcing him to deal with adult concepts and adult things. And you can't expect him to do things the way you would do them. It's not that way. You can't expect him not to be a child. He's still a child. He's still hurt. And he's dealing with adult things. But basically what happens is Will is off. He leaves to go to basketball practice. And his father, who Jeffrey contacted and told him that he needs you in your life, comes to the mansion. That's huge. You just pull up to the mansion, man.
Then he did it kind of shady. Like he waited until somebody left, which I don't think he knew that was Will that left, because I think he would have followed him. But it kind of brings up the whole him being. But yeah, then he sneaks in when the gates like still open. So I was like, oh, you.
Once again, other stuff would have happened if Jeffrey was around, and Phil could have chose a different way of doing these things. So he comes around. Phil answers the door. He's talking to him and trying to gauge who he is. And of course, he's hit. We come in and we see his Marlon Wayans. Boom, great. I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great casting. I love it. But he's talking to him. He's talking about how he got out of jail 3 years ago. He's trying to get his life together. He's trying to be someone that you can look up to. He's saying all the key words that you want someone to say. If you're going to decide to let Will see him. Uncle Phil says, what any strong, smart black man will ever say. Let me talk to my wife first before we make this decision.
Which is probably the first time he's done it all season.
Now that he's going for district attorney, he finally understands. You don't run this house. You might have bought that house, but it ain't your house. It's hers. Yeah. Her family is all hers. So, and he goes to talk to her. He can't. And they were going to go. Him and Carlton were going to go on this really great experience, K1 car experience, and they canceled it. So Carlton, being nosy, he sees that Lou was there. Well, Phil calls Viv. They're talking about it. What can we do? One thing we can do is let Will decide, or should we call Vi? Because that's his mom. We shouldn't let her know what's going on. While that's happening, Carlton is talking to Will, letting Will know what's going on. So Will just is blown away because at this time he's thinking only about he and Lisa, trying to make sure that works. Apologize to her because she still hasn't forgiven him, for lying to her all that time. So he tells Will Now Lisa's not even in his mind anymore. He's focused on, okay, my father, this is huge. And he has to walk in on Uncle Phil and Viv talking about him and his father. And you can see the upsetness is starting to boil over. It's starting to come up, but it hasn't gone up all the way. So he's starting to yell, but they respect him still enough that he's doing okay. But you can see the anger that's coming up because he does feel like everyone's been lying to him. Then, he talks to his mom, goes out and talks to his mom. And she, feels bad because she wanted to tell him when she was out there. And she probably should have, but was talked out of it. That was big too, because if she could have played interference, she could have told him a lot of stuff beforehand. But now she's away and he's dealing with this. Will decides to see his dad, and that's when all the fireworks start to go off. So what did you think about that part so far?
Like right before they actually meet?
Yeah.
Usually in a lot of shows, whenever somebody's trying to make a decision for somebody, so like Viv and Phil trying to figure out, do they tell Will, what do they do? Usually they do things wrong or like, a little messed up. I thought they were making good decisions. I thought they're like, all right, well, let's call it the mom, call her. Yeah. And let's see. And, it's going to be his decision. So I was like, a lot of times they do, like, I always go back to like Supernatural, like keeping secrets and lying to each other and blah, blah, blah. And this and that, where this one, they were like being more realistic. Like, this is what a real conversation in the real world would be about something about this. So that I appreciated it. Even Carlton's reaction, I felt, was very sincere. Like he didn't do it. Like, if you would have told me that he would have done this like in episode 2, they're like, oh, he's gonna tell Will about his dad and stuff, I thought it would have been to sabotage Will, maliciously and stuff like that. He was super sincere. Like it was just like a great,
it was almost like all for love. Like their relationship was changed so much. Carlton loves Will.
Yeah,
he trusts him. That whole brother thing, he literally trusts him that much now.
Yeah,
he's there for him. He loves him.
Yeah, I like that. Although there was that one part where Carlton and Ashley are looking at the picture, the painting of Will, and he goes, oh, I like it, but what do you think the crown means? And then Ashley looks at him, she goes, oh, it means that somebody better watch their crown a little bit more closer. I'm like, really, Ashley?
I know that really? Was like, because someone's coming for the throne. I was like, oh,
yeah.
So
I was like, damn, girl. I was like, you're really gonna tell your brother, like, you need to watch out for Will. I didn't expect that from Ashley. But Phil saw that
so well. And you know what? And Phil also saw that and made something that was going to be just for him and Carlton. That Carlton, you're my son.
He got so excited.
There are just because of us.
Mm-hmm.
And in all those things, because I feel like Carlton found out about Jeffrey and told everybody about Jeffrey, about him being fired. Also, he told Will about his father. All of it was in good faith, almost like he was doing it because someone's not being honest.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been taught his entire life, you should be honest. He was doing it for in his mind, a good reason. Maybe naive. Maybe he should talk to his parents about it. But he was doing it all for good reason.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, another 17-year-old boy. He's 17 years old. And the person who's been most important for him in the last, few months is Will. He helped him through his addiction. He's been there for him through so much.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to kind of repay and do that for him.
Yeah. Although I see what Carlton was doing, because you said, like, maybe he should have went to his parents, but he sees what all this lying and keeping secrets does. With Phil and Will and this and that and all this. So it's like, I get why he's like, listen, like, and that's why he got pissed when he confronted Will. He goes, where's Jeffrey? And he's like, oh, we'll hear from him soon, don't worry. And he got pissed and took off. It was like, because they're starting to figure it out. So I think he knows. He goes, we need to stop this, like, lying to each other and hiding stuff from each other because it's causing more problems. Which is good for him, but also he has a banger of a secret, so that only 2 people know so far. So he needs to watch out because that goes both ways. You don't want people lying to him, but yet
it's
you're
okay
doing
for
it to him.
too.
Yeah, but for me, that was a big. I guess that for me, that was like the main point of this episode. Like every episode, there's always something going on, and this episode was like, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie. And then somebody being mad because somebody's lying, because now Lisa's mad at Will for lying, but Will is like, listen, this is why I did it. This is why I did it. But then it flips and now he's mad at everyone else. So it's like, you're trying to convince Lisa, this is why you lied, but you don't want to listen to your family on why they lied. You know what I mean? Like I get
he believes that he don't lie because of his family. So maybe the family is the reason why he's lying in the first place.
Yeah.
I think that's naive. I think that's wrong. I believe that he really needs to realize you do some things to protect people that aren't ready all the time.
Yeah.
That's why you do some things. And that's what they're doing for you. And they were honest with you. And then, even when he found out, they let him have the choice. Do you want to meet your father or not? Even though they knew who he was. They know, but they had to give him that opportunity.
Yeah. 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 So, I mean, like everything up to that point was fast and a lot. Really, like that was within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, like
30 minutes in the show. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like, we're so further ahead in just the episode and the season than I expected. I I think we both said Lou season 2. I mean, this was a crazy to end season 1, but like with him coming out. Also, real quick, did any part of you kind of wish Will Smith was Lou? Yeah, part of me wanted to. I mean, granted, it would have
that would been
with everything going on,
all the bad press, and then him being a deadbeat dad. No, I'm okay.
Yeah, but it's like I'm like. Oh, why the slap ruined so much stuff, but but minus all the drama, I thought that would have been super cool, but then I saw Marlon Wayans, I was like, okay, I'm in.
Sense. He's the right age. It looks good. I agree. You can see he's slick. He's that guy. I think and he's a strong enough actor. Of all the Wayans, I don't get me wrong. Keenan Ivory Wayans is amazing. He is a genius. Damon Wayans, genius. Good comedian. Marlon Wayans is the best actor of all of them.
Yeah.
He's the best actor of all of them, by far. And I thought that he brought something to the character that it was believable. He was good. And he wasn't out of place. It wasn't just like a cameo. It was in place and it made sense.
Yeah. Although I didn't feel that was like his, I don't want to say not his real voice, because obviously that was his real voice, but I just felt like he was adding a little bass to his voice. Like he was like a little bit more raspy than I'm used to hearing him, which I don't mind, because he had to be a little bit.
So that's, but he's not screaming,
Yeah.
This is who he really is.
Yeah. So, he had the beard, he had the look, like, even when him and Phil were face to face and they were talking about it, ooh boy, man, Phil's been getting in a lot of people's faces lately. Somebody's about to get slapped,
and he don't have
someone's about to get slapped. I'm just saying, man, he's,
Well, I think that's another thing that's going to come up early next season. I don't want to get too far ahead, but I feel like him not sharing with Viv about Jeffrey, it don't matter. He just works for her. He worked in the house, and he's supposed to share things. That's going to become an issue too. And he's going. And now Jeffrey's not answering his calls either. That's going to be a problem.
Yeah. And the GPS, well, I know later we'll get into it, but even like the GPS things are like under his name, so they like the people who own the cars can't like track the cars and stuff like that. I thought it was kind of like funny. They're like, oh, because it's under Jeffrey's name. I was like, damn, like he got some job security.
But his job was to make sure to take care of the entire family, the safety of family. Exactly what he said. That's what he did. everything, things you don't even think about. That's what he did always.
Yeah.
And I think Phil's gonna have to learn to swallow his pride and go back groveling to Jeffrey next season. So I think that's happening.
Yeah. How so before we kind of get on to like the big part where Will and Lou meet, what do you think about when because now we know what exactly happened between Jeffrey and Lou. Well, I mean recently with
Yeah.
I didn't know Jeffrey went to Lou and talked to him. I thought he did some like recon and like found out like I'm like, oh, he went up to him and told him like you need to go see your son. And I wonder if that's gonna play in effect season 2 where like both Jeffrey and Phil were both wrong. You know, because because Phil was wrong by not letting him see his dad, but Jeffrey was wrong by thinking he needed his dad.
Yeah.
You know, so I wonder if they're both gonna be like, damn, we both messed up.
Well, exactly. But I think that's the way that you'll be able to repair the relationship.
Yeah.
Because they both could say Jeffrey did what he did because he didn't get to spend time with his son. And his son Jeffrey's a good enough guy that he would be good for his son. But he thought Lou was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he put his own feelings onto Lou, and he's not. So yes, Phil probably should have let Will know some information, and this wouldn't have blown up. But Jeffrey, shouldn't have gone as far as he went, and that will allow them to come together.
Yeah.
Because when Will's gone, I think the only person who's going to be able to find him is Jeffrey.
Mm. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into that towards the end of the but you want to explain what happened with Lou and Will because
All right, so
oh boy,
this was huge. So just like you would expect, so Lou comes over and Viv says, "I don't care what you think you're gonna do. You need to do right by this boy. You pretend to be father of the year. I don't care." And he's like, he's not scared of her. He knows her,
mm-hmm.
but I hear you, whatever. But it's easier said than done. He comes down with Phil, and Will ask them to kind of leave so they can talk. And Phil's like, "Hell no, ain't going nowhere." And he's like, "Look, this is what I need. I need you to let me have this." So against their better judgment, they do it. And this is a conversation, very uncomfortable conversation. You could feel the tension between the two. It was palpable. You could literally see it and feel it. And I mean, how would a man who hasn't seen his son for 13 years, how would you do it? He knows nothing about him. So kind of explains where he's been, what's been going on, why he chose not to see him in prison. And Lou had a really good answer. He's like, "Look, I saw my dad in prison, and every time I saw him, he was less and less of himself. You could see him start to deteriorate. And I think that affected me to no ends to become the person I am. And I didn't want that for you. I didn't want you to see me deteriorating in front of your eyes. It would affect who you would become." And I thought that was really important. Uh, and a great answer. But then Will basically said, "So what about the last 3 years? What about those things?"
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he didn't have a really good answer. He give you the same BS answers, that, you know, I'm trying to make myself better. I'm trying to do all this other stuff. And I think Will could see through it. But then they started having conversations about, what do you remember? Now, I remember you take me to a Philadelphia 76ers game. And, he was a hustler. So, he scalped the tickets, got him into the locker room. And, of course, Will runs off while he's trying to get, Lou's trying to get Allen Iverson's signature and all this stuff. And they're bonding over that thought. And then Lou said something like, "Yeah, your mom would have killed me." She was like, "Oh yeah, she would have found out she would definitely killed you." He said, "I never could do right by that woman." Then then is when it really starts to open a can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
What happened between you two? He's like, "Honestly, we were good for a while," and then he starts to really kind of get on his mother, talking about the type of person that she's kept on pushing him because Phil was making money and Viv was doing well, pushing him to do more and hustle and do all these things, and he started to blame her for his predicament. And that's when this conversation ends. you don't blame his mom, or you don't call his mom out her name or any of those things, Will snaps.
Yeah.
Starts yelling at Lou. He's ready to fight. And he's like, you better back up, young buck, but you don't know me. And he's like, exactly, I don't know you, but you don't know me. You need to get out of my face, like all, getting riled up because all that anger for those 13 years that he's been feeling and suppressing is all coming out. And you can see it. And I gotta give it up to the actor because you can see the rage, the anger, the distress in his eyes when he's doing this. And it was amazing, honestly.
Is it, Jabari Banks? Jabari
Yeah.
Banks, I think his name is. Yeah.
It was
Yeah, them two together, that the anger between them two, they were like legit ready to fight. They were in their face. They were calling each other names and saying, "Don't disrespect me. You earned respect." I was like, "Damn!" Like, I mean, like you said, Marlon Wayans is a great actor who's been around forever, and this guy's a new guy, a young guy. But them together were, that was good. That was
you could
good.
feel the fire. You could really feel the fire.
Yeah. I forgot that Phil was standing in between them at one point.
Yeah.
And I'm
so
like,
like they go, and then Will goes off on his own, and it's weird because even Phil and Viv kind of even apologize and say, "Look, this didn't go very well, but if you really want to be in his life, you're going to have to try some more. You're going to have to be there, and you have to deal with this anger because you understand why he has the anger. If you really care about him, you have to be here for it." And if he had changed, he should have said, "Yeah, I understand. I ain't going nowhere. I get a little time for him to breathe, but we're gonna work at this relationship." And he thought that he was gonna come in and it was just all things were gonna be good, and that's just naive, and that's not thinking about the other person, what they've had to deal with at all. So that's basically what happened. Will goes upstairs and starts packing. Where you going? Where are you going? And he grabs his stuff, and Carlton's like, "Hey, Will, what are you doing, bro? Where are you going?" And he said, "I just gotta get out of here. I can't stay in this house anymore." And he starts running down the stairs. Lou's already gone. He's running down the stairs, and he's telling everyone, "I can't trust you. You've been lying to me my entire life. Then you left me and my mother." Stuff once again, bubbling from what's been inside all this time. For a decade, I just saw you guys one time. Doesn't matter what you've been doing for me this rest of the time, this last year and a half, for a decade, I didn't see you guys. You left me and my mom alone. No matter, even though he knows why it happened, he's still angry. He's an angry kid. And he's dealing with those things. And he tells, Carlton, Ashley, Hillary, "I love you. I can't stay here anymore right now." And he takes his bag and he's gone. But before he leaves, Carlton hugs him and slips a lot of money in his pocket.
Yeah.
And this is what really blew me. He did text the text the Lexus. Like, how you running from home and taking a Lexus, bro? Where you going?
Like, well, you ain't taking my car. I'm like, yeah. I thought that was funny.
Then they let him go, and I was like, all right, I guess I understand that.
Well, I see why they let him take the Lexus, because they figured we can track you in our car. We can track you, and obviously that backfired, but I get why they kind of let him do it, but it was a hush. Watching The Notebook. You go watch The Notebook.
You go watch The Notebook. I'm not into The Notebook right now. I'm not gonna listen to
Yeah.
Hey, I like what she's saying. That she been nice.
Oh,
new
haircut. Yeah, I needed one. It was getting too much.
Yeah, one day I'll cut my hair. Not anytime soon
though. Well, I remember when you first started growing it out. Like, not that long ago.
It's only been a year. It's only been a year.
Shit, yeah. Well, like, way off subject, but there's a video that popped up in my my like feed, and it was like one of the first times. I think it was the first time that you were on. We weren't even Nerd Huddle at the time. Yeah, we were on the Morning Spike. So yeah,
That was fun.
yeah, shit, that's been a while, man.
Thank you, listener. I
She likes
appreciate
it.
my mop. It's okay.
Mop.
So Will's out. He's out the door. Like I said, Carlton's sending some money. I don't even know if he went into his pocket yet to see.
Mm.
Don't even know what he did. You know, if he knows anything about that. But he goes off and goes to that spot where Jazz basically took him. It was really cool. He's there. Jazz comes up, talking to him like, "Man, what the hell are you doing? You're running away from these people. You talking about no one loves you. Everyone wants to get rid of you. There's a whole house of people that love you and want you there. But Will is going through something right now. He can't see any of that.
Yeah.
You know? So I think Jazz made a decision that he's going to stay there with Will because he's not going to make the right decision. He tried his best to encourage him to go back, but if he's not going to go back, he's going to be there with him.
Mhm.
So he tells him, "Hey, where do you want to go? This is your decision. You can go anywhere you want to go."
Yeah, that scene was so great at the end, with just him talking to him. I'm like,
You tell him all.
I'm like, that's why I'm like, this. I like the old version of Jazz. This version of Jazz is just like that old wise man kind of vibe, you know, you get, which just tells him what he needs to hear, not what he wants to hear or what he should hear. It's like tells him, it's like, listen, you got this is what it is. But now he's like, you know, everyone made decisions for you, you know, and you're pissed off for it. Well, here is your chance to make it. And I was like, damn, you know, that was true. You know, I was like,
it was good, and you know, he's served as his conscience this entire season. When he needed to hear something that he didn't want to hear, he still told him.
Yeah. Even for Hillary, he was the same thing. You know, the little, I always say like the Jiminy Cricket, you know, because he's always giving the good advice and that no one listens to. You know, but yeah, so yeah, he's just been that good advice person for everyone in the show. Well, everyone that's around him a lot. So yeah, because he also gave good advice to Hillary in this episode.
Great advice to her, and
which,
of course she followed it, and now she's going to open her eyes to a lot more.
Hopefully,
maybe, but see, I don't want to get Hillary because
not yet.
But with Will right now, I wonder what he's going to do. Because if this is like, you know, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, there were episodes where he went off and lived on his own. Well, Carlton did the same thing, went off and lived in the middle of Compton for like a week or something like that. They got their own apartment, it was all run down, all that stuff. So he could do that, or we come back and they're trying to find him, and as I said, Jeffrey comes to him and he locates him, and they go and talk to him together, Jeffrey and Phil. And as I said, Jazz is still with him, and he allows them to talk to them, and Will hears both sides. And even Jeffrey can say, maybe I was wrong doing this. Phil says during the conversation, maybe I was wrong with doing this, but you're your own man, and we're here for you, and we love you no matter what. And that brings him back into the fold. I hope that happens. But
yeah,
this can go on for a couple of episodes.
Yeah,
you know,
I wonder, since we got the whole the Will and his father's side, now that we kind of know a little bit more about Jeffrey, I wonder if we're going to get at least maybe one episode next season of, you know, during this time Jeffrey is in wherever he's at for his son, but he gets kind of the opposite, where Will was looking for his father. It's gonna, you know, his son might be like, I don't want anything to do with you. You're POS. You know, it's like, I don't want, don't bother me. You know, so it's kind of like they're both rejected. You know, so I wonder if that might play. I hope so, because I really am interested with this new Jeffrey character. You know,
I think what's going to come out is that they're family, and that their common hurt, and it's the people that want you around that are going to be your family.
Yeah,
you know. And I think that's what's going to draw them even closer. That's what Will's going to come back into the house because of that.
Yeah. And then, so what about Lou? So after Phil and Viv were talking to Lou, and they're like, "Hey, if you want to keep at this, fight for him. He's mad, but keep fighting." And he kind of said like, "F him." Like he said,
Yeah.
"Go." What did he say?
He's
Like
the
die
one-
in a gutter. He's like, "It's on him now." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? He's the one that wanted to find you, and this and that. And he even like called you out on it. And now again, you're
If
like,
I didn't find you, would you be here right now?
yeah." Yeah, he didn't like that because when you call somebody out on their bullshit, they get pissed.
Yeah.
But is Lou that same con man that's gonna do kind of what happened in the original Fresh Prince show, and get some money and take off, or is he gonna con Will and Phil somehow?
No,
and
I
or is
think
he gonna be around for a while? Because that's a big actor to cast as somebody that just might be gone in a few episodes.
yeah, but he has a good relationship with Will, so I think that he is going to be gone. Only thing I think he might come back and might talk to Vi, and Will's not going to like that very much at all, and she's going to tell you, you need to go. You need to go. I don't like this. This is not happening. I need you. I need you to stop touching me. Stop being around me. Go.
Give me 1 second. Go ahead, keep going though.
So I honestly believe that he's going to be in another episode, but I think that's going to be the end of it. And unfortunately, he's going to go off and be on his own after that. Now that's going to affect Will once again, but I don't think he has to have that same, same episode like what he had with Lou before, because he was older then.
Yeah.
He was in college. He had a great understanding of who he was as a man. And his father at that time did leave him. He wasn't in jail. He left him. So I mean, that's
right.
a little bit different. And I don't think they're going to need that, but I think this is going to bring them closer together, as in Uncle Phil, Viv, and Will closer together. And this also might, what if Viv doesn't leave because of this?
Man, that I think she's looking for a reason, and this might be the reason. I kind of hope she does go and like chases her dream at least for a year. I mean, that's all it is, just a year out of her life, and she can at least say she did what she wanted to do. But it could be like Phil made his sacrifice. Is she gonna make her sacrifice again? So I don't know. I don't know. I hope not, but it could be.
They kind of showed. I don't know. I think they kind of foreshadow that once again Reed's going to be a problem, because Viv brought him back into the fold, talking about this partnership again. That's something else that happened in this episode. She brought him back to the fold, talking about, I need to find young artists that are doing the same type of thing. So I'm not just ruining this grant. I'm not ruining this thing. I'm finding them and giving them an opportunity to speak. This fellowship doesn't go to people in mansions, usually. So I need to pay it forward, and that's what I want to do in my time. And I think she's going to grow closer to Reed, and that's not going to be good either. But it is what it is. Now, talk about Hillary. You said Jazz gave. You can see Jazz and Hillary's relationship has has elevated to a point where now they're together. They're in a hotel room. They're doing their thing. They're together. To a point where when Will wanted to talk to Hillary, he called the Jazz. I mean, I know you. I saw you guys at the party. I know what's going on.
That was hilarious.
He was like, Jazz, like, hello. And he was like, can I talk to Hillary? Why would I be by Hillary? Shut up. Give her the phone. I know what's going on.
I like how they're setting up Will, though, is the guy who knows everything. Like, he knew about Carlton's drug problem, and now he knows about Hillary and Jazz. And it's kind of like,
he's gonna be the one that helps Ashley. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna come back
for sure.
Yeah,
but I there was the only other guy that knew everything going on in the house was Jeffrey. He's gone, and now Will's kind of doing it, but like unintentionally, just because he's street smart and you pick up on things like that.
And he's just a good person, and he's naive, he's young, but he's a good person. You know,
Mhm.
and you can be all those things. Those are not mutually exclusive, and
Yeah.
I enjoy that about that. But Hillary decides to have a partnership with the one we met at the church. So she's making money, and
Ivy.
Ivy. So and Ivy's actually going to buy the house and Hillary out of her contract, so she no longer owes any money, which is amazing and that's really good. Was it
Yeah.
Kylo? So Kylo could buy it out from Kylo and change the house to a woman's house with respect and things like that, and become a partner with Ivy,
Mhm.
which is Jazz's idea, which I think is good. But I think between them, I think Ivy likes Jazz too.
Mhm.
I think Jazz is going to be the reason why their partnership doesn't work out.
I can see that. I can also see she's kind of I mean, obviously she's like a newer character, so we really don't know much about her. This is like what the second time we saw her in the show,
Yeah,
but I feel like she's more about the money and the power, so I can see her screwing over Hillary somehow, and like maybe teaming up with Kylo because Kylo is all about money and power. I can see that, but also you're gonna piss people off in the house that maybe don't want to go that direction that you want to go. So
but
you know,
what if what what happens is Hillary finally just says something about Jazz. He's still just Will's friend, and Jazz takes offense to that. Like, we've been sleeping together all this time.
mhm.
I'm that's all I am to you. And he leaves and says, I'm done with you. And then that's when Ivy's like, whoop, and now she's with Jazz, and then that ruins their relationship, their partnership from that side.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see either one work. So but
Yeah,
that's something we have to wait till next season to see.
yeah. It's good side stories. That's what one thing I liked about this one is like it's. I mean, we really are barely touching on the whole Ashley situation. But like Hillary's got a big thing going on. Carlton's got a big thing going on. And then
We didn't
obviously
talk
Will
about
is the main thing.
the end of the whole thing with Carlton.
Yeah.
So Carlton goes out and looking for Will, and then he goes to Lisa, and Lisa's mad. He just stood me up. Blah 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 blah. I'm saying stuff that makes people hate me even more. And then Carlton's like, Will's dad showed up today. Some real stuff, some real life stuff. Like, and she realized how stupid she is, and you say what she's saying. And he's
Mhm.
like, look, I need him in my life. He's the only one that was there for me when I needed it. I need to be there for him. I need you to help me find him. Please do whatever you can. I need you to help me find him. And that emotion once again shows what type of connection they started to have, and
Mhm.
it's something that you are used to seeing. Um, I don't know what's going to happen from this, but I think she is going to help them, help at least him find them, and then talk to Jeffrey and all of them come together. But I think this is going to keep her in the picture.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to write her out.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think they were going to write her out anytime soon anyway. Just because, I mean, she is a important. Unless they do the stupidest thing, which I read somewhere that they might, is bring in another Lisa, and she's the real Lisa that we know from like the old Fresh Prince. I'm like, don't do that. Don't bring in another
So,
character named Lisa.
it could, because that's what they did. What it was that Smallville.
Yeah,
They have
that's-
Lana Lane and Lois Lane. I was like, really, guys? That's what you're doing. So I
yeah.
mean, you could do it, but I think Jackie's going to come in between those still too.
Jackie. I couldn't remember her name. I was like, yeah, yeah, I think so. But I think you're right. Like you're gonna see all these damaged relationships are gonna put their issues aside to help Will. Like I said, Phil and Jeffrey, Lisa and Carlton. Granted, theirs is not as bad as the other two, but like former relationship, people that loved each other, and they're putting all their feelings for each other aside to help out Will. And I like you said, they're all gonna come together, and he's gonna be shown that like, listen, man, you're bigger than our personal problems. Like you
Well,
are.
he's feeling like he's unloved right now, and I think
Yeah.
he's going to realize that everyone stopped everything they were doing because they loved him that much.
Yeah.
No, nothing mattered more than finding him.
Yeah. Do you think we see Will's mom get like flown out and stuff like that?
Vi's coming down immediately.
Yeah.
She has to.
Yeah.
They're gonna fly her out immediately. She's coming down now.
Yeah. I think she's gonna be pissed and be like, he's coming home with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he might go home with her for a little bit. But I think he comes back.
Oh, he's definitely coming back. Yeah. Because I think he's so accustomed and his mindset has changed from the few blocks in West Philly to what the world
being your oyster, right? And your palm of your hand, anything that you think of, you can have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be a big. I can see him go back to Philly and realize that Philly's not for him, and repairing that relationship with Trey, and Trey telling you need to go back. That could be something that happens too.
I hope so. I mean, we haven't talked to Trey or talked about Trey or heard anything about him in a while. So I hope they fix that relationship. But I think that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna go back to Philly, and it's not gonna be the same. Like, I mean, you used to drive around a Lexus, you used to go into concerts and backstage and meeting people.
Now you back on the bus, back on the train, man.
Yeah.
Running the stairs like Rocky, bro. I don't know. You're not gonna be used to that anymore.
Yeah, but I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I think this is it. But honestly, it was such a good episode. It was a good way, a powerful way to end the season.